GM, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is Friday, the 15th of November, and let's jump straight into the price action on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is just crossing the $90,000 mark again as we are speaking. So Bitcoin had obviously come down and had sort of come down and sort of retested towards the lower end of this range here, really between our low that was made on Tuesday this week at 85,000 and then up to the high, which is coming in around about 93. So right now we're just consolidating, going sideways. One thing I did want to mention is obviously, and I mentioned this on yesterday's stream, is that we have confirmed bearish divergence on the 4 hour. The other thing that we were looking at is we were looking at this Tom DeMark sequential 9 print that came in yesterday, and often in trending markets, especially in markets that are at new all-time highs, this can be a fairly useful indicator, as obviously there's not so many defined levels of support and resistance to actually use. So I do quite like the Tom DeMark indicator, and I do find it fairly accurate in terms of picking when trends are likely to pause. This doesn't mean that we're going to reverse. This doesn't mean that we're about to start a downtrend. What it does mean is that we are more likely than not to see some sort of consolidation. It just tells us that the trend has started to get a bit extended. Price has got maybe a little bit exhausted to the upside and needs a little bit of time to either pull back or consolidate sideways. So as we discussed yesterday, we were looking at a couple of levels here if we did continue to pull back. Obviously, the first one being this 85,000. And if that was lost, potentially we could come down to 80,000. I don't really think that we will put in a more significant correction than that at this stage. And if we just actually take a look at the high to sort of the low, if we were to come down to 85,000, that would be about a 9% pullback. If we were to do what I think would be quite realistic for Bitcoin, maybe pull back as much as 10%, that would obviously take us just under this level. There'd probably be quite a lot of liquidations sat under there. It would also come into this red moving average, which is the MA50. So the MA50 simple moving average on the 4 hour. And obviously, as we have seen, Bitcoin has liked to base off the 50 moving average and at times off the 100 moving average on the 4 hour as it has been trending up. And obviously right now price has got extended away from those moving averages. So obviously some consolidation here will allow for those moving averages to catch up towards price, and then those moving averages will actually come in and support the price, and it will act as almost like a sort of helping hand to push price up further as traders will look to obviously establish positions off these moving averages that now come up towards where the price is. So we might get some sort of mean reversion still. Obviously, Bitcoin at the moment having yet another go at 90,000. I think, look, if we can clear yesterday's high, which came in around about sort of 90, just under 92,000, around about 91,600, 700, then it could be that we have another go at the weekly high, and potentially Bitcoin could run a little bit higher here. So let's see where it goes. There's something else I wanted to talk about with you today, and if we just go on to the daily, that is the moons. So we have seen over the last, for the vast majority of the past year, we have seen the moon phases be a really accurate indicator when it comes to Bitcoin. So you'll see two moons here. We've got a dark moon, which is a new moon. So this is when we don't see any moon in the sky because the moon is new. And we have this white, this lighter color moon, which is the full moon, which is when you go outside and you can see a big full moon outside. And what we've seen, and it's clearly evident here, is that when we have A full moon, price goes up. New moon or bare moon, should we say? Let's call them bull moons and bare moons. A little bit easier that way. A bare moon, we've seen price consolidate. So again, new moon, or sorry, bull moon, price up. Bare moon, consolidation. Bull moon, price up. Bear moon, consolidation. Bull moon, price up. Bear moon, bit of a top. It's pulling back. And so on and so forth. And we've actually seen this work fairly accurately over the summer. Just look at this. Look at the bear moon calling this high, this high, this high. You could probably call that a high as well. Obviously, before this sell-off, before this sell-off, before this sell-off, before this. So, and actually on this sell-off. So actually, these bare moons are really quite accurate. And the opposite of true is true of the new or the bull moons. So the full moons, the bull moons. So yes, this is really interesting. And obviously we just printed a new a new bull moon. Got to get my words right. A new bull moon today. So it's not showing on the 4 hour, but it is showing on the daily. That is a new bull moon or full moon today on Friday the 15th. So this could, and I mean, I know it sounds really out there, but you just have to look at what has happened when these moons have printed over the last year to tell you that there is something there. So, I mean, if Bitcoin is gonna run to this $100,000 level this year, then I think there's a chance it could do it this month off this bull moon. If, for whatever reason, this does not work out and we don't make a new high this month, then potentially we consolidate. And of course, these moons happen more or less twice a month. It's every couple of weeks. I think it's every 14 or 15 days. So we would potentially therefore expect maybe a push higher into the end of this month, some consolidation going into the start of December, and then potentially an extension into the end of the year, into the end of December. And then potentially, again, we get some sort of consolidation or pullback in January. So, yes, it's something to keep an eye on, but I wanted to point out the moons. And yeah, I mean, you know, if we push on from here and make another new all-time high over the next week or two, then we will continue that trend of obviously the bull and the bear moon impacting price. So that's Bitcoin. Ethereum, we said yesterday, we've seen it pull back, starting to show a bit of a recovery here, a bit of a bounce here. So this is encouraging to see. Obviously, if we do come down a little bit more and we get that sort of deeper pullback on Bitcoin over the next few days, or maybe over the weekend when liquidity is low and the ETFs are not open, then yeah, potentially we could see Ethereum come back below this 3K handle, and potentially it has a two handle down at the 200-day moving average. We could get a retest of that moving average. We could even go a little bit deeper and get a retest of this sort of 2,800 support resistance level. Obviously, previous resistance now becoming support after it was already support sort of back earlier on in the year. So, you know, that's one scenario. If Bitcoin continues to pull back, I think we could see those targets on Ethereum. If not, these levels might just get front run. We might see Bitcoin, like I say, the bull moon pushing on to new all-time highs. And in that case, I would think Ethereum would probably catch up as well. If we just take a look at these highs here, what we can actually do is we can connect these yearly highs. And I mean, we probably want to go conservative with this trend line, but we could probably, well, we can draw something like this in. So I would be expecting at some point Ethereum to come up and test this descending trend line. This would obviously be quite similar to the descending trend line that we've seen on Bitcoin. So you can see here just how far Bitcoin is ahead of ETH, just how much Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum or has done so far. But we've talked about the fact that Bitcoin usually has its best performing quarter in Q4 of each year. And for Ethereum, its best performing quarter annually comes in quarter one. So I do think that as we go into the end of this year, we should start to expect Ethereum, if it's going to make its move, it's going to happen probably end of December, January, February, March time. And obviously, this would all play into Ethereum potentially getting up to this resistance and breaking this resistance towards the end of this year. So maybe the move up to this resistance happens this month, and maybe the break happens in December or January. That's what I would expect on Ethereum. And then looking at Solana. So Solana, we said it's come back down. It's retested this $200 level, and it's gone for a little bit of a retest yesterday, or shall we say earlier on today, and it's starting to bounce along with the rest of the market. So this consolidation in Solana is good. It's looking strong. There's no major concerns here. When I'm looking at the Solana chart, obviously it had its Tom DeMott daily 9 as well as we saw on Bitcoin. So we're currently going through some consolidation, but importantly, we are going through consolidation at new yearly highs or new cycle highs for Solana. And this is really bullish to be consolidating above the highs here, above the top of this range, a little bit similar to what Bitcoin did when it sort of popped up above this range and it just consolidated a bit, had a push, came back for a retest, and then it really went. So I'd be expecting Solana potentially to consolidate a bit, push up, and then probably off we go. And then just looking at the dollar index, the DXY. So obviously we've seen the dollar index come up to these highs, these swing highs, and actually go just above them. And what we've been saying on the dollar now is that obviously the dollar is showing some real strength here. However, this dollar move is not actually impacting the price of Bitcoin. So if we do see a rejection from the dollar round about these highs, so let's just put on a sort of horizontal line here to kind of give us a level. So obviously these would be the highs. So if we do see the dollar come into some resistance around this level here, this 107.3, then I would expect the market to, well, dollar to start to sort of roll back over again, and likely crypto to get even more of a tailwind from a weakening dollar, because obviously since Trump's gone into office, it's been a strengthening dollar. So when this does fall over, all risk assets that are priced in dollars should then get a nice uplift. And just going over to the stock markets, we can see the NASDAQ is currently on a bit of a pullback. So the NASDAQ is now retesting the highs from the summer, and the S&P 500 is going for the similar thing, retesting its prior all-time highs, its previous swing high, which was in October, so from last month. So obviously the S&P has been showing relative strength to the NASDAQ. That's why obviously it made a new all-time high last month, whereas the NASDAQ was unable to, but obviously it's had this consolidation, it's broken out, and now it's going in for a retest. This is perfectly normal, perfectly healthy. And look, I think, if the dollar starts to weaken, we see stock markets bounce on the back of this retest. Obviously, all of this is good for cryptocurrency in terms of its correlations to other risk on assets and the inverse correlation with the dollar. So, was there anything else I wanted to look at? Yes, Pepe. So we will continue to bring you Pepe analysis on this stream, and we can see that Pepe far too bullish to even make the retest. We did have this Tom DeMark 9 candle on Pepe on the daily. So that was our warning sign. That sort of alerted us that we might come down and retest the previous all-time high. But at the moment, Pepe hasn't. It's front run that, and obviously it's on quite a nice move today, up 7.6% at the time of making this video. And yeah, let's see if Pepe can sort of grind on and start to push on higher here. But obviously, it'll all depend on what Bitcoin does. If Pepe, or sorry, if Bitcoin does pull back a bit more from these prices, then yes, expect Pepe to come down and retest that prior all-time high. So I'm going to leave it there. Thanks very much for watching today. If you have enjoyed today's video, please do smash a like, share this video with some friends that you know are into crypto as well. Subscribe if you've not done so already. Obviously, I am in the process of making second and third daily videos at the moment. Yesterday, it was 3 videos that I made. The second video was on altcoins and specifically on low cap Solana meme coins. So it was an hour-long video. 15 low cap meme coins on Solana were reviewed by myself. So please do go and check out that video if you haven't watched it already. Also, I made a video about Litecoin, naming Litecoin as my crypto of the week. They've now said they identify it as a meme coin. So Litecoin are getting quite a lot of attention on X from that pivot. And personally, I find that fairly amusing what they're doing in some of their posts. So go and check that out if you want a little bit more of a light-hearted sort of crypto story to have a chuckle at. And have a wonderful day, and I will see you all later. GM.